More new Apple products just leaked. There's some major upgrades coming to the iPhone 15, and a huge software update is about to change your iPhone. What's up? I'm Royce, and this is Apple Next, where I talk about all the latest and hottest Apple news of the week. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. First up, we gotta talk about this new Apple product that just leaked. So according to this accidental Amazon listing, it looks like Apple is prepping to launch some new headphones. And no, they're not new AirPods, but instead they're the Beats Studio Buds Plus, which are the successors to the Studio Buds that were released not too long ago. Now, if you're someone who's wanted a more sportier, kind of more hip version of the AirPods Pro, these definitely fit the bill because that's pretty much what they are. They have the same secret sauce and everything that make the AirPods so great. You can easily sync with your iPhone, share with other iPhones through AirPlay, activate Siri, and they come in some cool colors. Now, ever since they released the first gen ones, I've really wanted to get these, but since I already own the AirPods Pro, I still couldn't really justify having them because they essentially do the exact same thing. But these new Studio Buds Plus are offering some pretty cool options color-wise, and one being a transparent option where you can see through the case. And this immediately takes me back to the N64 days when they released the transparent version of those, which I just absolutely loved. So that's definitely dope. Now, these Studio Buds Plus are supposed to be a step up from the first gen versions with improved battery life, better noise cancellation, and audio transparency. So it seems from the taken down Amazon listing, these are expected to come out on May 18th and cost $169.99. So I'll definitely be looking out for these and fighting the urge to buy the transparent version because I want it so bad. Next up, the iPhone 15 rumors just won't stop piling in. Now, if you've watched my last couple episodes, which is also all of my episodes since I'm new to this, guys. And the recurring theme has been the iPhone 15 and the 15 Pro, and mainly the 15 Pro, and what we can expect from the upgraded camera, and along with some changes that are coming to the body as well. And one of the rumors I brought up is that Apple is looking into removing either the volume buttons or the mute switch button for this one singular button deemed the action button, which works similarly to the Apple Watch Ultra. This one button can be programmed to do a bunch of different actions, open a specific app. And according to 9to5Mac, we got some images of what this might actually look like and how they might actually implement the action button. So in this image, it looks like they're keeping the volume rockers and just removing the mute switch button at the top. And then that's where the action button is going to be. So it's actually gonna be a lot smaller just there. We're still gonna have the power button on the other side. So it seems like they're keeping volume controls kind of dedicated to their own thing. But now this action button will be used to mute and unmute our phones, along with some other features like opening a specific app, like if you want to program it to open up the camera, so you have quick access to that. And to me, Apple implementing the action button in this way makes more sense because it keeps a very similar layout. So anyone who's upgrading from an older iPhone, they can feel safe, right? So when they pick up that new phone, everything's still where it should be. It's just instead of a little mute switch toggle, it's this new button that can be programmed to do other things. So there won't be this big learning curve or confusion. So that's less tutorials Apple's gonna have to make to explain this, and less emails they're gonna have to respond to explaining what the button does. But in the future, I do think we will start to see the buttons start to reduce on our phones. But I think this is kind of like an easy way to kind of dip their toes into it, get people used to the idea first, and then bam, iPhone 16 or 17 be like, hey, we got the one button that does it all. That's all we need. And it also looks like the iPhone 15s are gonna have a thinner bezel, which is really nice. And then one thing that's been talked about for a while, but now it's looking like it's pretty much really happening, and that's the iPhone 15's finally moving over to USB-C. And this is the move we've all been waiting for, right? Like, this won't be like jumping from the 30-pin connector or whatever it was called to Lightning, because USB-C is pretty much adopted by like every major tech company now. Like, that's just the standard, right? So chances are most people already have some type of USB-C cable already in their home. Now, I know not every USB-C cable is created equally, but it is good to see Apple's finally going all in on USB-C. They started with their computers, then the iPads, now the iPhone. It seems like they're about to drop an AirPods Pro case that's switching over to USB-C. And it looks like they're also showing the old school wired earpods some love and giving them the USB-C upgrade treatment. So then that way you'll have a wired option to plug into your phone as a nice backup. But don't expect those to be included with the phone. Those days are sadly over. Now let's dive a little bit more into what this move to USB-C on the iPhones really means and what that's gonna look like. So it's expected that the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max will be receiving Thunderbolt, which is Apple's standard for allowing faster data transfer speeds when you're plugged up over USB-C, being able to connect to high resolution monitors, and they already upgraded their latest iPad lineups to have that. So it only seems natural that they bring this over to iPhone now that it's getting USB-C. Now, unfortunately, the regular iPhone 15s, even though yes, they will be getting USB-C as well, it looks like they'll be capped at a slower data transfer speed versus the Pros and the Pro Max, which also means you probably won't be able to hook them up to external monitors and all that fun stuff. Now, having Thunderbolt on the 15 Pro models is going to be huge, especially if you're like me and love to shoot video with your iPhone, but then get super frustrated when you try to take those videos off your iPhone and onto a computer, because the process is extremely frustrating. You either have to airdrop your footage, which is nice if you have a Mac, but even with that, if you have larger files shooting in 4K slow-mo, it's going to take a while for those airdrops to send, and heaven forbid your phone goes to sleep. Hate it when that happens, especially when the transfer is just so close, it's almost there. Or you're plugging your phone up to your computer and using some wonky third-party app, or trying to rely on iCloud, and then you gotta download it, and it's just a whole crazy thing. But now with the inclusion of Thunderbolt, it looks like Apple's going to include a more streamlined way to just transfer all your videos, photos, and even files straight to your computer like you would like on a hard drive. And that just makes sense now moving forward, right? Because ever since they beefed up the Files app on the iPad and has made transferring data pretty much the same experience as you would on a computer, it's made the iPad being a laptop replacement make more sense. And I think adding this capability to the iPhones is going to do something similar. And since we're talking about all this Thunderbolt goodness, it looks like the 15 Pro models are going to get a special feature that will allow you to hook up to an external monitor while you're recording video and will actually split the feed. So it'll be an actual dedicated monitoring experience for maybe some professionals or even content creators who want to take advantage of using an external monitor with their phone while they shoot their content. And this is huge because outputting your video feed to an external monitor from your iPhone has also been kind of chaos, right? And it does suck that the regular iPhone 15s probably won't be getting this feature, but it does seem like it's very dedicated to just people who are actually trying to create content. So them sticking with just the Pro models for this makes a little bit more sense. You know what? Let's take a little break from the iPhone 15 a little bit and talk about another secret Apple product that seemed to have leaked through the cracks. So it looks like Apple's working on the next generation iPad Pro, and no, it's not like in my last video. It doesn't look like they've gone the foldable route with this one just yet, but they are working on a larger screened model. So this new iPad Pro could potentially have a 14-inch screen, and it's reported that Apple is working on a special version of their new iOS software coming out, iOS 17, to take advantage of that larger screen real estate. Now, we don't know what these special features are going to be yet, but with the screens getting bigger, I feel like this is Apple's opportunity to finally implement some more features that blend the simplicity of iPadOS and iOS with some of the more intricate features of macOS and really have that desktop hybrid that we've all been yearning for. And with that, this new iPad Pro is expected to have the new M3 chip, which looks like that won't be ready till later this year or maybe into 2024. So that gives you an idea of when this version of the iPad would actually come out. And it may have the ability to output to 2 high-resolution monitors at the same time. And right now, current iPad models only have one USB-C output. So in order to do this, they would have to have some daisy chain situation implemented, or we may see them adding another USB-C port onto this because this would be a bigger model, and that makes a little bit more sense. And if Apple's planning to do this, that means they're finally willing to make the iPad that I think we've always wanted from the very beginning. So I know I'm excited, but we're gonna have to wait and see where this goes. And lastly, we've been getting a good look on what to expect on Apple's newest software, iOS 17. So Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, or WWDC, is happening in June, so that's right around the corner. So we don't really have a long wait to figure out what iOS 17 is going to be, but from early reports out right now, we should probably just expect more of an incremental upgrade focus on performance and security. Yes, I know that does sound a little lackluster, right? But with those improvements, it looks like Apple's gonna throw in a little bit more customization to the lock screen in iOS 17. So it looks like we should be able to change the font size on our lock screen, and they're gonna implement a share feature that will allow us to share our precious lock screen designs with our friends and family. And it looks like we'll be able to view Apple Music lyrics on the lock screen as well, which is actually pretty cool. And Apple's finally going to allow us to have more detailed control over our flashlight. So instead of just having those 3 options to choose from, it'll act more like when you adjust the volume, where it'll be more of like a gradual change. So I'm actually excited about that one. And lastly, they're finally going to give Control Center some more love by doing some redesigns there. I don't know exactly what those redesigns are going to be, but I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential there to implement some really cool features. I mean, you could already do some cool stuff there, but I feel like they can push it a little bit more. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. And that's all the news I got for the day. I'll see you in the next one.